Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
So forget about the games of the night. We're going to pick them all. The winners. Ottawa at Montreal. Who wins?
I'll take Montreal.
I'll take Ottawa. Dallas at the Detroit Red Wings.
Dallas. Jake Ottinger is expected to start. I'll take the start.
Okay, I'm going to take Detroit. That's easy. This is going fun.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay at Philadelphia. That's a real
I'll take Philly.
slobber knocker. I will too. Vegas at the Islanders.
I'm going to take the Islanders.
Perfect, because I'm taking Vegas. Washington at Minnesota.
I'll take the Caps.
Me too. St. Louis at Calgary. I will take the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Flames too.
Okay. Columbus at Edmonton. I'll jump out and I'll say the Oilers.
Yeah. I got to say the Oilers. Yeah. But it'll be somebody
Buffalo,
like
Anaheim.
Columbus or San Jose that'll ruin it.
Buffalo at Anaheim.
Anaheim.
×2. And the New York Rangers at the San Jose Sharks.
New York.
Yeah, me too.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Who's your favorite all-star celebrity captain? Will Arnett, who I couldn't pick out of a police lineup. Justin Bieber, whom we all know, and I am a fan of the Biebs. Tate McRae, again, lineup, me, not happening. And, of course, Michael Bubbly Bublé. And he's got my vote. And the commercials are funny, too, Darren. He's knocking on the door. I have the bubbly. Can I get some bubbly? No, it's Bublé. Bubbly, bubbly. It's funny.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I hope you're ready for some fun today over the next 2 hours. It's your favorite daytime sports talk show. As always, live on the Game Plus television network, on the radio down there in Atlanta, WQEE. We have some troubling expansion news from the NHL as it pertains to Atlanta today. We're going to get to that amongst a lot of things. As you see, if you're watching on television or streaming, I'm in the Florida studio where it's game day. The Florida Panthers are home tonight to the Arizona Coyotes, one of 32 other teams that I used to call my favorite teams in the NHL. So it's a battle of two of my favorite teams tonight, here tonight in South Florida. Let's bring in the Moose. He is in the chicken capital of Wynyard, Saskatchewan. Moose, what's your update? Make it quick because we got a lot of stuff to get to today.
No update. I got hot coffee, and I'll tell you, I've been cramming in the last 3 minutes because you told me a couple show topics, so I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. I didn't want to catch you with your pants down. Yeah, I didn't want to catch you. Okay, can you, the guests are Alan May of the Washington Capitals television broadcast and Mark Stephen, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders. A lot of news with them yesterday, good and bad, and Calgary sports. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan, and Will? Fire it up. By the way, I had a far less exciting morning today than yesterday. I didn't meet any NHL players' kids or anything like that. It was just a very straightforward day, and it's allowed us to keep our mind on the news. What do we do every day with the Quick Six show topics here in the warm-up? We talk about the big story. And I don't know about you, but here's mine. 5 unnamed members of Canada's 2018 World Junior Hockey Team have been told to surrender to London, Ontario police to face charges of sexual assault. The Globe and Mail reports the charges stem from an alleged sexual assault at a Hockey Canada Golf and Gala on June 18th, 2018 in London, Ontario. And the charges reportedly relate to the alleged group sexual assault of a woman in a hotel room, which followed said gala. TSN reported in May of 2022 that a woman referred to in court documents as EM had settled a $3.55 million lawsuit against Hockey Canada, the Canadian Hockey League, and 8 unnamed former players. And if you notice, the Globe and Mail story today says 5 members, not 8. So, again, it's the big story. I can only imagine what Coffee Row is all across Canada. Obviously, it doesn't move the needle at all anywhere outside Canada, but that doesn't make it any less as important news. I said that we would talk about this, and this reminds me. You know where I learned of this morning? Surfing Instagram, Spittin' Chicklets. They had taken a screenshot of the Rick Westhead tweet. He was the guy from TSN that alerted the world of these charges. And in some circles of hockey, Rick Westhead isn't very popular. I can tell you this, he don't care. And I still don't understand. TSN is the rights holder, the television rights partner of Hockey Canada. So how that all relates, I really have no idea. I proudly proclaimed on this show yesterday that I'm a Hockey Canada guy, and I still am. And pretty much anybody that had anything to do with Hockey Canada in 2018 around this, they're long, and I mean long gone. So I'm still a Hockey Canada fan. But you're seeing the insinuation. Well, I guess my point is this is why I just feel that I can't work in the industry anymore, because I remember being pulled aside by teams back in the day and saying, yeah, we'd rather you didn't talk about that. This specific incident with our team, or the fact that we lost on the weekend. I'm like, well, what do you want me to talk about? Well, we have 2 players signing autographs at Southland Mall on Saturday. Could you talk? No! I've got a show to do. It's the Rod Pedersen Show, and we're going to talk about this because everybody else is talking about this, and I see Spittin' Chicklets can get away with it, and Rick Westhead, who works for the TV rights holder of Hockey Canada, reported the whole damn thing. So we see where it goes from here, and my take on it is simply this. I read the story that there was a $3.55 million lawsuit, and I don't understand how and why that wasn't the end of it. There's not a lot of coverage out there right now on this, because breaking story today. But the Globe and Mail has something, TSN has something called InsuranceWeekly.com has something, because I did a search on it, and it had to do with how Hockey Canada's insurance was affected by this. But again, there was a settlement agreed to, and I would have thought that would be the end of it. But one of those stories said, but because of public pressure, the case was reopened by the RCMP, and it's led to this. 5 players now facing charges and have been told to show up at the, is it London City Police or RCMP detachment? Either way, they ain't fooling around. Nor am I. This is a very, very, very serious situation, and this is the latest. And there are many offshoots off of it, and I'll get to those, but what's your take on this, the big story today?
Yeah, it is the big story, and, it's unfolding. My first thing would be just because players are called in, the 5 players, 8 players, nobody's been charged yet, right? So I would say let the process play out a little bit and see where this goes, because you have players among them who have denied it. Agents have denied being involved, in the past, things like that. So let's let the process play out and, assess this as we go, and see where it goes from here. But yeah, when you see the names of Dubé and Carter Hart, now you start to link it to that event, and there's going to be more now that are going to come out. There's players getting pulled from practices, what we're hearing across the league. So we'll wait and see where this goes.
I hate and loathe when sports and news intersect, but it does happen, and it's never good when it does. Humboldt Broncos bus crash, this situation, there's tons of examples of when sports and news intersect, and very rarely is it ever good. And thank God I don't know enough about it, the difference between Rick Westhead and the Globe and Mail reporting. They've been told to come to London to face charges of sexual assault, yet, as you said, because the article says that nobody's been charged yet. So I don't know, they're facing charges. What does that mean? They show up and then they get charged? I don't know, and I'm glad I don't know. The interesting thing is there's a lot of heat on NHL teams to discipline these players, because some of them are on NHL teams, and I'm not going to spend any more time on this. Go to your local Facebook group or Twitter if you want to have that debate. I'm not interested in having that today. But I would say, do you, with your current employer, want to face discipline from your current employer for something you did in the past with another employer that had nothing to do with where you are. I wouldn't think you would. So that's my take on that. Do you have the NHL is kind of going, and I don't really blame them. Everybody is, actually.
I'm glad you asked, because this is the one thing I've been thinking about when it comes to the players. And I need to take a minute on it, because the reaction on social is going to be, well, their careers are done, right? Well, it's over. Not always the case. The careers will depend on how the players handle this, right? At this moment in time, they need to go to the police and accept the consequences, whatever that is. And however they react, apologetic, remorseful, whatever their real reaction is and how they handle this will determine how they come out of it. We've seen all types of bad situations. Tiger Woods has been able to come back from a bad situation. You know what I mean? It has happened in the past, and it's completely up to how the players are going to handle the situation.
It's an interesting comment from Jeff, the Stamps fan. Thank you for joining us today, Jeff. He says, I can't stand the hockey types who think Hockey Canada and its top players are beyond the law. And that's his comment. We're inclusive here. You can say whatever you want. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to agree to it. But I'll say it again. All the people running Hockey Canada, as if they didn't have enough of a scandal with the Wexit, the 5 Alberta junior teams leaving to go to the BC Hockey League, which falls under the Hockey Canada umbrella. And then this happens here. Oh, my God. It's like Eugene Levy and Splash. What a week I'm having. You know what I mean? Like, it's, oh, my God.
Well,
that's why those jobs pay so much. What?
I know. It's like the trash can is open. Let's take out all the trash at once. I'm not opening it twice to have the stink come out of here twice. It's all happening at the same time.
Well, remember this, what I said. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I saw a meme that said 2024 is the year of karma. You can take that for whatever you want, but it's been interesting to watch. Yeah. So they are going to face the music. And so for anybody to say Hockey Canada thinks they're above the law, I don't know how you could say that. But that's your opinion, and that's why this is The View for sports fans. This is the daily coffee talk discussion. And that will be a theme throughout today, because that is the big news. But there's more, so let's move on. Thanks. The guest today, by the way, Alan May of Washington Capitals Television, and Mark Stephen, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders, on the ice. Can we talk about that? Third period goals by Connor McDavid, Evander Kane, and Dylan Holloway broke up a 1-1 game and led the Edmonton Oilers to a 4-1 NHL victory over the visiting Columbus Blue Jackets. Oilers' win streak's now 14. We all kind of thought that would happen. That they would win last night. Brandon Saad's second goal of the night, scored with only 50 seconds to go in the game, was the winner as the visiting St. Louis Blues rallied from a 3-1 deficit to beat the Flames 4-3. Mackenzie Weegar, Noah Hanifin, and Yegor Sharangovich provided the offense for the Flames, who have lost 3 in a row. There is a mild part of me that misses walking into the Grey Eagle Event Center and Casino, or the Ace Airport Casino, or Century Downs, because all those people had an opinion on the Flames. And their faces were all the same. It's, God, this dawned on me today as I was writing my commentary, and you can go read it at rodpeterson.com right now. Darren, this decision of whether or not the Flames should go into a rebuild is making itself. I wouldn't say to leave every matter in your life that you don't know the answer to. Just leave it, and the answer will come to you. But in this case, it is. The Flames aren't challenging for junk, and they're currently clearly not with this group, so break it up. It's time. If they don't, you can really see why Flames fans are so upset with the franchise.
I know. Yeah, you have to do something, because it's just not there. And last night's game, it's so disappointing the way they got up in that game. And, man, I love watching Mackenzie Weegar play, and it's been a bright spot on a tough season for the Flames. But the goal you give up late, the fourth goal with less than a minute to go, that's a real heartbreaker. And doesn't that just sum up the Flames season? You're right there. You're so close, but just not good enough, right? And in the NHL, if you're not good enough, you are so far away from being able to win a cup. That's the unfortunate reality of it. And they're going through the same thing in Pittsburgh. You just can't take the risk of trying to add assets at the deadline. It's better to go the other way, probably.
So you see why they're upset, and that's the thing. We're lucky that we grew up in Saskatchewan where we didn't have a big time, other than the Riders, we didn't have an NHL team. We didn't have an NFL team. We could cheer for whoever we want, right? And for me, it was the Dallas Cowboys, and I look at that. Today I saw a thing on Twitter, the Cowboys logo. It said, who do you think of when you see this? You know what I thought? Jerry Jones. That's wrong. Who thinks of the GM? Or the owner, but that's who I thought of as a Cowboys fan. That's why I'm ready to walk away from them, because I know nothing's ever going to change, and I kind of feel that's the thing with Flames fans. They can't walk away. It's their team. They can't. I got a hilarious story for you. I met a guy, Cesar Lucero, the other night. You see him? The gentleman in the wheelchair? We did a handoff with the Matthew Tkachuk bobblehead. I got him one, and he had his buddy with him. His buddy's name was Connor. And Connor said, who do you cheer for in the NFL? And I said, well, the Cowboys, but I don't know. I'm thinking of giving it up. And he goes, but come on over and cheer for the Dolphins, man. It's just as painful, but less pressure. Nobody expects anything here with the Miami Dolphins. So cheer for the Dolphins. It's a lot easier. I'm like, dude, I get it. I get it. Patrick Roy is now 1-1 as coach of the New York Islanders. Nicholas Roy's goal midway through the second period stood up as the winner as the visiting Vegas Golden Knights edged the Islanders 3-2. Those are some NHL leftovers. Obviously, this is going to be a theme through the whole show today. NFL, the Tennessee Titans have hired Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan as their head coach, tasked with trying to turn them back into winners and groom Will Levis into their franchise quarterback. The Titans announced it this morning that they're hiring the first of the 10 candidates they interviewed. You, sir, are a Titans fan, last I checked. How do you feel about Brian Callahan taking over your team?
I feel really good, but I was going to say, Clark, we got to get Mo Egger on the phone because he'll know everything about Brian Callahan, and maybe he can give us a good assessment of the new Titans coach. The thing that struck me is in his kind of some media stuff that's being posted, he's offense first and passing game first. Talks about the need for a passing game. If you're going to win, you have to pass the football. Tennessee has typically been, especially under Vrabel, and even before this, a run-first team. Always had great running backs, which has been good, and defense-minded. Low-scoring, tough, and I love that. But it's time to throw the football and play with these other teams. Look at the teams that are left. Great offenses. So that's what I hope he brings to Tennessee. And Will Levis has that offensive pedigree. This is really exciting for Will Levis's future.
I appreciate everybody who's just showed up for our coffee discussion. We started at noon Eastern, but I know you can't all make it right on time. So what we've talked about is the big story. 5 members of the 2018 Canadian World Junior team being summoned to London to face charges for sexual assault. NHL leftovers, NFL leftovers. We got our poll question to get to when we come back. More on Wexit, NHL tonight, and whatever else you all would like to discuss. It's a great day here for talking sports, and we'll be right back on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, I know. It's the greatest daytime sports talk show. Thanks for joining us. And by the way, the Telemiracle 50/50 is another way to support Saskatchewan's charity, Telemiracle, and also have the chance to win half the jackpot. It's truly a win-win for Saskatchewan residents. You can get your tickets now at telemiracle5050.com. Please bring the moose back in. And just delving into the comments for a second, Jay in Winnipeg writes in, obviously, we'll get to the Jets and the Leafs tonight. I understand there's a very large portion of our audience that would like us to dedicate 2 hours to that game. But we'll get to it. But Jay says, Samsonov for the Leafs tonight? You're the Leafs fan. I'm seeing a little bit of Samsonov coming across my timeline. What's the story there with the goalie for Toronto?
We played well the other night. And, we thought he was done. We thought this was going to be Martin Jones's team, thought Joseph Wall. Maybe it'll be Samsonov. I'm okay recycling guys back in and giving them a second and third opportunity. You never know when a guy's going to find his game. Oiler fans were ready to write off Stuart Skinner. They weren't going anywhere unless they got a goalie, right? Well, Skinner's found his game, and they're rolling 14 in a row. So if Samsonov can play tonight, great. But these are big games, and we'll be glued to our TV sets.
Yeah, please don't get me started on the Stuart Skinner thing.
I know. You've heard it.
All along was pumping his tires. No, you don't know anything, Rod. By Oiler fans. And now he's breaking Grant Fuhr's records, and he's the greatest thing ever. And I sit here and wait for an apology. What?
I fully expect to hear coming from the back room, Skinner? You talking about Skinner?
Oh, my God, I know. Right. Well, and by the way, when I say this is the greatest daytime sports talk show, Obviously it is. But the shows that I watch after we're done, like Pardon the Interruption and Around the Horn, and even the McAfee Show replays on all the 18 ESPN channels, none of them are talking about what we're talking about. They're all talking about the same stuff. We're at least talking about the NHL and Hockey Canada and the CFL. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing they're doing. We're just talking about different stuff. And it's fun as hell. By the way, I'm not done yet with the NFL. My God, they know what they're doing, don't they? Joe Barry is out as the Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator after a turbulent third season on the job that ended with a loss in the NFC divisional round of the playoffs. Just get this. Green Bay ranked 10th in points allowed, 17th in yards allowed, and 23rd in yards allowed per play during the regular season, with a defense featuring 8 former first-round draft picks. That included a brutal 3-game stretch, and then late in the season where they allowed 29 points a game and went 1-2 against the Giants, Buccaneers, and Panthers. I'll tell you something. You're not old enough to remember, truly get a kick out of Jerry Glanville, but you've at least heard of him, right? You've heard of Jerry Glanville.
Of course.
Yeah, the old coach of the Falcons and I think the Houston Oilers, and he was the defensive coordinator of Hamilton not that long ago. He's the guy that left tickets for Elvis Presley at the will call of every game that his team played at, just in case Elvis happened to show up. This was after he reportedly died in 1977. Jerry Glanville was still leaving tickets for him. But he was the guy that coined it. The NFL stands for not for long. The not for long league. So, I mean, it's one thing to get fired and whether you get upset over it or not, but in the NFL, you really cannot, because it's the not-for-long league. Speaking of, the Las Vegas Raiders hired Tom Telesco Tuesday as their next general manager, passing over interim champ Kelly for the position. Kelly could remain as the assistant GM, the position he held under Dave Ziegler, who was fired on Halloween. By the way, before we move on to other topics, our poll question today pertains to the NFL, and I've only been wanting to ask it since Sunday night. It's brought to you by Key Auto Group. At Key Auto Group, we're driven by safety, experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. And it very simply is, who are you cheering for the rest of the way in the NFL playoffs? Because it's down to the Final Four. Bet Regal's odds today, their point spread, have been updated a little bit. It's Kansas City at Baltimore in the AFC Championship. Ravens favored by 3.5. And then in the late game, it's Detroit at San Francisco in the NFC Championship game, and the 49ers are favored by 7. I don't think we need to spend any more time on this. I've said it's Detroit. For me, Moose says it's Detroit, unless you've changed in the last 24 hours, which is possible. I assume you're still going with the Detroit Lions.
I'm going Detroit with a runner-up of whoever wins that game, because everybody seems to be crapping all over Brock Purdy. So if it's not Detroit, it'll be Brock Purdy. But yeah, go Lions.
Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I guess Detroit. Yeah, I mean, when your team's out, what are you going to do? But I didn't expect the Cowboys to even be playing this late. I don't care about Detroit any other day. There's only one other Detroit Lion. There's only one Detroit Lions fan that I know. And it's Dustin Nielsen. You probably know that from TSN, the voice of the CFL. And I don't even know why he cheers for Detroit. I think he wonders why he cheers for Detroit. But now here they are in the Final Four. And you got to cheer for somebody. You got to have a reason, you know. So that's, do you know any Detroit Lions fans?
No, he comes to mind. You're right. That's the one that comes to mind. Although, yeah, a bunch of random people are popping up as Lions fans now. But a long time? No, he's the only one.
That always is going to happen.
Always.
What do I say? We do the same thing that McAfee and Pardon the Interruption do, but we just talk about other things. Let me just pigeon drop in with a few comments like a pigeon, crap all over everything, and then here's the pigeon comments from the text line, 902-518-3033. Sober Carpenter text line. Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beers, proud partners of the RP show. All the great taste without the hangover and regrets. 902-518-3033, brought to you by Sober Carpenter. What does Johnny Athens call it? The devil's juice. Not Sober Carpenter. Brian in Hudson Bay writes in and he says the Flames organization reminds me of the Riders. As long as they can wallow around 500 or so, they think they're really doing something. Oh, just hang on. Yeah, I don't have time. I don't want to go there now, but thank you for bringing that up, Brian. The comments by Jeff Reinbold here the other day, where he said there's two kinds of owners in sports. The owners that really will do anything to win, cut off an appendage to win a championship. And then there's the others that, as long as we're making enough money and can show that on the balance sheet, we'll all be fine and cover our asses. And I think we can all kind of identify who those teams are. So I'm just glad that Reinbold actually came out and said it. David in Winnipeg says, I just watched a Bell Let's Talk feature with Carol Wagland and former NFL player Brandon Marshall. Powerful interview. It made me see some of the struggles that people go through in a different light. It's a long one. He goes, when I saw a news story of a famous person being in trouble, I would think, what an idiot. Why would they endanger their career and status? Now when I see a news story of someone getting in trouble, I'm going to hope they can get help. If you're struggling, there is help available. Talk to a friend, coworker, or family member. Don't suffer in silence. Thanks, Rod and Bell, for helping others on their healing journey. And David also says, my NFL hopes are always with the 49ers. But if I was a betting man, I would go with the Ravens. In my 12-step meeting this morning, that's the one thing I talked about. I struggled with a lot of things for a lot of years, and the people around me didn't have any idea how to help because they didn't know. It's not their fault. They weren't trained, and it is what it is. Now we see what the issue was. We move on. If you want to hang on to things, that's on you. If you want to be part of the 2.0, come on along. It's entirely up to you. But I'm not the same guy. Brandon Marshall's not the same guy once you seek help. Corey Perry's not the same guy. Ted in Edmonton writes in and says, my money is on Kansas City. Okay. And, oh boy, Dawn, I'd love to get your take and the audience. Dawn, box office, Dawn writes in. There's still a box office? Anywhere? He's a good friend of mine. Don, he was in the pep band. Don says, hey, Rod, I just noticed that there are only 3 Canadians on the Canucks roster at the moment. Thoughts? Signed, Box Office Don. I don't want to beat that drum anymore. I used to, and I actually thought the Winnipeg Jets, let's forget about the Canucks. I haven't looked at their roster, but I've been looking at the Jets roster for years, and I'm like, there's not enough Canadians on here, and I think a lot of us felt that way. But at this point, Vancouver is the #1 team in the NHL. Winnipeg's close, so who the hell cares? Does it matter? I mean, here we are now. Didn't Vegas have the most Canadians last year, and they won the Stanley Cup? I mean, Don Cherry's retired, bro. It ain't about passport anymore. So that's my take. You?
Yeah, it's not. Do they embrace the city, though, and represent the city well and are proud to be playing for the organization? I would say that's really important. Outside of like Todd Bertuzzi, Brendan Morrison, and Trevor Linden, and Luongo, they're all Swedes, right? The 2 Sedin twins, Marcus Naslund, or Russian with McGillney. All your heroes. So this isn't something new for the Vancouver Canucks organization. And you know what? It's in one of the more multicultural cities in the world too. So you know what? I think it's okay. Embrace it as long as they're proud to wear the jersey.
Yeah, I sit here and talk a lot about being old man yelling at clouds, hiking up my pants, moving to Florida, and I'm that guy. But I'm trying to be way more open-minded. I mean, I was the guy that said the voice of the Pats should be Saskatchewan. From Saskatchewan, always has been. Nobody listens. Voice of the Edmonton Oilers from Pennsylvania. The girl that analyzes the Blue Jays games, I can't remember her name now. She's new, but she's awesome, and she's from Houston, Texas. I literally can't remember her name. Doesn't matter where you're from anymore. That's not a thing. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, it's not a thing. Again, it's more about how you approach it. And are you, do you wave the flag? And are you proud to be from there now and be living there and working for that team or supporting that team or playing for that team, right? And the city. How many times do we see, let's look at, you brought up the Blue Jays, Jose Bautista, Jays legend. He's not from Toronto, right? but he's going to represent Toronto, and the city's proud of him, and he's there, and he's adopted into that town. I think that's a good thing.
That's the thing. It hasn't always been that way, but it's that way now, and I'm actually really grateful for that, because here in Florida, I've told a lot of people this week. People always had the wrong impression of me. They said, he loves being in Saskatchewan, a big fish in a small pond. No, I hated it. And you were with me. I hated that I couldn't go anywhere without people knowing who I was. I didn't like that. I liked doing the job. But I didn't like having everybody's nose in my business. Here in South Florida, 10.5 million people, nobody knows who I am. And guess what? Nobody cares. And it's awesome. Brent, watching here in Wellington, Florida, he writes in and says, was it Aqua Velva or Old Spice in the Don Cherry commercial saying the Russians have never won the Stanley Cup? I can't remember that. Serena will know. I'll ask her, but I do know it was Maurice Rocket Richard in the Grecian Formula commercial. Remember that one? There's a guy in my club who looks exactly like Maurice Richard. I feel like I did walk up to the guy one time in my club, and I said, you look like an old hockey guy. Are you from Canada? He's like, I'm sorry, my name is Jaime. I'm from Chile. I went, okay, well, you still look like an old hockey guy. Forgot where I was.
The Grecian Formula.
You don't remember that? Grecian Formula. Alan May will know. And he joins us next. See you in hour 2, Moose. Look it up, Darren. It's on YouTube. Grecian Formula. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, welcome back, everybody. The RP Show continues, and let me remind you, Canada's men's top curlers are into the thick of their playoffs, and their eyes are set on Regina for the Brier, presented by AGI, the Montana's Brier, in the Brand Center in March 1st to the 10th. Tickets are on sale now. Individual draw tickets are on sale now, $24 to $70. All youth tickets, $9.99. Get your tickets at curling.ca/tickets. Let's bring in Alan May. I'm sure he was smiling at this. You remember the commercial, Alan, right? The old 2 minutes for looking so good. Maurice Richard. You remember those commercials, right?
I can barely remember it, but I remember it. And it's there were a lot of cheesy commercials back in the day. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hey, you're from Edmonton. I don't want to blow your cover, but you identify as an Oilers fan, even though you got the Capitals gear on right now. I want to know your take on the Oilers' 14-game win streak, please.
I'm loving it, and it just goes to show that a coaching change was needed because, you know, if I had some Swiss cheese here, that's the defense they were playing at the start of the year. This coach, Chris Knobloch, has come in, and he's got them playing so incredibly well without the puck. They're playing a more patient game. They're not, you know, prone to the same big mistakes. And I don't identify as an Oilers fan. I am one, and I don't hide it from anyone. And I make sure that it's out there. I'm very proud of it. It was a lot of tough years, though, and a lot of busted draft picks, but it's great to see these two incredible players bring their team along. And to see that arena, the number one money-making team in the National Hockey League, and they've got good reason to be happy right now. They're packing the building. The players are playing a great brand of hockey that I believe translates to better playoff hockey. And at the start of the year, it wouldn't matter if Patrick Roy and Martin Brodeur were your two goaltenders. You wouldn't have won games the way they were playing.
You're plugged in more than anybody. I'd love to know what you're hearing or seeing about Paul Coffey's influence on this team since, because he came along with Knobloch.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things about Paul is he's got an incredible amount of self-confidence that he transfers to you. He's one of the most engaging guys to speak with. Like when you're talking to Paul, he's a Hall of Famer. I idolized this guy growing up. I played in some alumni games with him, and I was just so happy after those games that he wanted to hang out and talk to me. And he makes you feel great about yourself. And he's giving these kids a road plan on how to play the game. He's taking the complicated part of the game away, and he's making it an easier structure to play. Really, there were some of the defensemen I wanted to get rid of all six guys that were playing every night. And now I look at all these guys, and they are legit. And Paul's had a great, people say, well, he's never coached before. Well, you know, there is a lot of learning that's gone on in youth hockey nowadays, like 18U and below. You have to be more of a teacher, more of a communicator. And I think the number one thing with Koff is he's an all-world communicator. He looks you in the eye. He doesn't break you down. He builds you up. John Tortorella, I played for a long time ago. We had we were enemies, and then we were on the same team. And I look and I hear of all these things about him, but he's another guy. You want to go in his office because he's not going to strip you down. He's going to build you up. You're going to walk out 10 feet tall and bulletproof. And I think Paul Coffey's been doing that with the Edmonton Oilers.
Please, just because it's entertaining, and I know you came here to talk about the Capitals, and we'll get to that, but talk about your first game as an Oiler, because it's awesome. And I'm sure you don't mind retelling it.
Well, some of it, I don't want everyone to yell at me, but the big thing when I got called up, and I felt really bad because I think it was Glenn Cochran who just passed away in the last week or two. I'd seen him lose a fight the night before against my buddy Lyndon Byers in a Bruins Edmonton game. And I had played, I'd been sick for a little while. I got back one game, and Slats was at his first and maybe only ever minor league hockey game that he had ever watched as general manager, president, head coach of the Oilers. And he asked me if I wanted to come home for Christmas. And I had a really good game. Best player, had a 2-minute and 5-second tilt with Rob Ray at center ice. It was absolutely awesome. And that was the first shift of the game. And then he asked me if I wanted to go home for Christmas. I was like, who wouldn't want to go home for Christmas? Well, I fly back the next morning. I get home pretty early, early enough to get a morning skate in and everything. And instead of staying at the hotel, I went to stay at my mom and dad's house, and their phone rang and rang and rang and rang. And back then, everyone used to smoke. The house was like a cloud. So I took it upon myself, Wayne Gretzky style, to go to the arena at 2 p.m. And, you know, it was pretty cool. I had a very eventful training camp. So when I got out there, I had played that game, and I couldn't believe it. I had all my enemies became frenemies that game. And then I had the people that were my best friends were there. My grandparents were there. It was pretty cool. My dad had seats in the second row. My then girlfriend and my sister were sitting behind the goal about 7 rows up by the Zamboni, where I actually sat growing up. Well, before the game, just before the game at 2 minutes and 35 seconds, this one's always ingrained in me, is my chief, my uncle, who was a chief of the Hobima band, comes in the dressing room. He's got a headdress on. He's got the buckskin jacket on. And now my secret's out that I'm a native. And, you know, because I didn't like taking, you know, what the guys were throwing all the time back then. You always try to minimize being the brunt of, you know, the attacks, which, you know, they weren't really attacks, but it just, you don't want to give them. So during that game, I ended up scoring a goal. And in the morning, when I did get to the arena, I found a penny. And I found this penny, or actually Slats found it. He said, Al, tape that to your skate. You'll score tonight. So sure enough, I score. It ends up being the game winner. I couldn't believe I scored. I looked in the net. I looked up at the red light. I looked at my sister and my girlfriend. They're freaking out. I went behind the net again, and I was getting a little choked up because I looked down the ice at the other end on the second row because my dad was so tiny. He's crying, and my mom is just sitting there with her arms crossed, not trying to show any emotion. Well, I'm skating to the bench, and I'm getting a little choked up seeing how happy and proud my dad is. And all of a sudden, I hear from the bench some little war cries, and I was like, oh my God, they got me. And I'm starting to choke up, and Keith Acton comes over. Don't you cry, don't you cry, don't you? And he's jabbing me with this stick. So anyways, at the last shift of the game, I am out on the ice inside the D zone. We're only up by a goal, I believe. And it's to the right of Grant Fear. And Slats, as he goes out, as I go out, says, don't fight. So I assume because Churla, Basil McRae, Dana Merzen, their biggest guys are all on the ice. That meant fight. You know, Slats was a psychologist. So I thought I just skated out to Dana Merzen. That was my guy, left defense. I skated out, cross-checked him. We end up having a big-time fight, and I get kicked out of the game. You know, at the last, it was basically, what, 30, 40 seconds left in the game, whatever it was. I go in the dressing room, and, you know, I'm expecting to get pats in the back. The guys are going crazy. Messier's the greatest guy to be a teammate with. And it's like a party, and the last game before the couple-day Christmas break, and Slats comes in and he goes, turns the music off, which normally doesn't happen. The coaches just let you be after a win. And he goes, I thought I told you not to fight. I go, I thought you were using reverse psychology on me. And he goes, if I was using reverse psychology on you, you would know. Give me my penny back. And I gave him the old, you know, whatever's in there. And there's no way he was getting that damn penny, but it ended up being an incredible night. The restaurant that we hung out growing up, all the cooks were there when we got back after Mess's party that night at my parents' house. It couldn't have been a better first goal in the National Hockey League, especially for my parents to be there. So many friends, but the whole day was so super surreal and just a blast. And I'll have that the rest of my life. I know our team, every time we go into Edmonton or play the Oilers, they show the clip of it. And you can see how shocked I was when I scored the goal. So it's just an absolutely incredible memory.
That's why I asked folks. Al and I have done a lot of banquets together, and everybody loves that story. And hey, speaking of First Nations hockey players, I don't need to ask this. You must have shared your descent with Ethan Bear. And how's our warrior doing there with the Caps?
Well, you know, Ethan is, you know, he came in here, everyone had been skating. He's coming off a shoulder surgery, and I thought he's played fine, and he's still just hitting his stride. One of the things with Ethan right now is he moves the puck very nice. He doesn't overhandle. He likes to shoot the puck, which I appreciate because the D here have been overhandling the puck, but he's still got to get his legs under him. The other night I talked to him, I guess a week ago Thursday, before the St. Louis game, and we're talking, I go, how awesome is it to play here in the States? He goes, oh, it's amazing. No one knows who I am. We can walk around. We're not criticized for everything we do. When go to the grocery store, go to a restaurant. No one knows who he is. No one knows who most of the players are. And it's a hockey town that pretty much sells out every game. So he's enjoying the part where he's not getting blown up on social media. He's not getting blown up in the media for every play. And, conversely, I listen to my buddy Bob Stauffer's podcast or radio show every day. And every pass, every goal is life or death. And it's so hypercritical. We've got guys here that haven't scored in a dozen games that no one knows. And they're not harassing them. They're not getting beat up online. And if they are, it's just one person. So he's loving that part. I think he's going to get better and better as the season goes on. We have 8 NHL defensemen here right now. So they're going to flip-flop really the bottom 6 guys. Not the top 2 is Carlson and Faravari. But I expect Ethan, as time goes on, as he really gets his legs under him, starts getting game legs, game shape, he'll be ready to really start taking off. He's still a young, very good hockey player.
Thank you for the answer. Thank you for the analysis. And as always, we talked about things you would have never guessed we were going to talk about today. Al, I appreciate it. Good luck. We'll do it again soon.
See ya. Take care, Rod.
All right. Washington Capitals TV analyst Alan May. WHL, SJHL, I think AJHL, and for sure NHL alum. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, it's a quickie here, and I apologize to my guy Stu, a fireman out there in Chilliwack, BC. He's texted in on the Sober Carpenter text line. He says, hey guys, great conversation. Question for Alan. Among all-time rivalries, where does the mid-'80s Estevan Bruins Weyburn Red Wings rank for you? And I just saw it. So, Stu, I apologize. The next time Alan May's on, I'll ask him. You got to make sure that you're watching. But, yeah, I don't look at this when the guy's on. Terry in Medicine Hat writes in and says, a step back in time, LOL. Hey, Pedersen, 2 minutes for looking so good. That's the commercial from Maurice Rocket Richard. You guys didn't think we'd be talking about that today. Nor did I. But you never know what's going to come up on this program, do you? Sports update. Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, and Joe Mauer have been elected to baseball's Hall of Fame, while Billy Wagner and Gary Sheffield fell short. The three players will be inducted at Cooperstown July 21st, along with manager Jim Leland, who was elected last month. Ichiro Suzuki arrives on next month's Hall of Fame ballot. CC Sabathia, too. Canadian Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder visit the San Antonio Spurs in one of 8 games on the NBA slate tonight. The Hamilton Products coming off a 33-point performance in their win last night over Portland, 111-109. News from the CFL. Drew Brown won't be hitting CFL free agency. The Ottawa Red Blacks signed the American quarterback to a 2-year deal today. The CFL club acquired Brown's rights last week from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for a 5th-round draft pick. Brown was slated to become a CFL free agent February 13th. He spent 3 seasons with Winnipeg. The truth is, he heard the stadium's going to be called Princess Auto Stadium and didn't want to play there. I'm joking. Sports updates and hockey coverage are brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. And for Landmark Cinemas, in theaters now, Mean Girls. From the comedic mind of Tina Fey comes a new twist on the modern classic, Mean Girls, in Landmark Cinemas now. So Moose rejoins us in hour 2, and we will be playing our NHL Bet Regal Breakaway Bets, predicting tonight's winners in the National Hockey League. We will, if we have time, get to our NHL Top 5, Bottom 5. I really want to do that. But we'll bring in a lot of your audience participation, and the voice of the Calgary Stampeders, Mark Stephen, will join us to talk about the big Stamps news yesterday, some good, some bad. And we'll obviously get some Flames talk in there as well. That is all coming up. Let me just dabble into this for a second. Sliding on over to the streaming audience. Oh, John Ohm. Awesome story. Interview and story with Alan. Thank you, John Ohm in Winnipeg. He's actually surprisingly docile, given the fact the Jets visit the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. Are you docile, John? We'll talk about that a lot next hour. Stick around, everybody, after this brief pause.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Who's your favorite all-star celebrity captain? Will Arnett, who I couldn't pick out of a police lineup. Justin Bieber, whom we all know, and I am a fan of the Biebs. Tate McRae, again, lineup, me, not happening. And, of course, Michael Bubbly Bublé. And he's got my vote. And the commercials are funny, too, Darren. He's knocking on the door. I have the bubbly. Can I get some bubbly? No, it's Bublé. Bubbly, bubbly. It's funny.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
That is a fact. Thank you, Rick Regan. Welcome, everybody, to Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show here on the Game Plus Television Network. And we're on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, and streaming. Coming up this hour, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders and iconic Calgary broadcaster Mark Stephen. That's in segment 3 of this hour, but we're currently in segment 1. Segment 1 of hour 2. Please bring in the Moose. The Moose is with us. We got a lot to get to here today. We got some interesting comments have come in. I just want to update everybody on what we talked about last hour. The big story. 5 members of the 2018 Canadian World Junior team have been told to show up in London to the police department. They're facing sexual assault charges. We talked about that an hour ago. I'm not going to talk any more about it here now. NHL leftovers from last night. The Edmonton Oilers won their 14th in a row. We talked about the NFL playoffs, and that's the poll question. They're down to the Final Four. Who's your favorite team left? Who are you cheering for? Detroit's way out in front of that. We didn't get as much into the Wexit as I'd like to, Western exit, but we will. The 5 Alberta Junior League teams going to BC. If you don't think that's a big story, then you don't know hockey and all the rest. But Darren, is there something... Do you have a burning desire to share before I pivot with topics here?
I did my homework. You saw it. Hell of a commercial. The Rocket for Grecian formula. My God. 2 minutes for looking so good. Well, it was pretty good.
Have you never heard that phrase? Yeah. Have you never heard of that commercial or the phrase 2 minutes for looking so good?
Well, yeah, I've heard 2 minutes for looking so good, but I had no idea where it came from.
It came from that commercial. So it's funny because I do this, and I'm very grateful. Darren came down here in April for our 1,000th show, and this is currently our 1,165th show. So you know the setup here. This is a covered-in patio. In Florida, they call it a lanai. I call it a line, and nobody knows it gets the joke, which I think is even funnier. So, and then, just on the other side of this wall is the house. So Serena's in the house, and sometimes she listens to the show, sometimes she doesn't. So just in the top of the hour break, I went in there. She's like, what the hell were you guys talking about on there? Maurice Richard? I said, that old commercial, Grecian formula, 2 minutes for looking so good, where he was the referee. And she's like, because she's Canadian. Nobody knows that, but she is. She's like, we're not right as a planet. Like, Canada is its own planet for commercials like that. And yeah, it is. And it only matters to us, and that's all that matters. So, anyways, John Ohm is going to be, I shouldn't have brought it up. John Ohm's going to need to be shot with a tranquilizer dart because the Winnipeg Jets visit the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. It's by far the game of the night in the NHL. And maybe, okay, we're going to play, not right now, but very soon, Bet Regal breakaway bets. He just wrote into the commentary here, the comments, Winnipeg Jets, Winnipeg Jets, Winnipeg Jets, Winnipeg Jets, Winnipeg Jets. That's what I'm saying. Shoot him now with a tranquilizer dart. I came up with a phrase this morning as I was driving to my morning club meeting. Sport betting. Is that a thing? There's sport fishing. There's sport hunting. Why not sport betting, where you bet on the results, but you don't put anything on it? Cash, a lunch, nothing. What do you think? I feel like I just coined something. Sport betting.
That could be a thing. I mean, sports betting is already a thing, but sport betting.
Oh.
Yeah. Playing for free.
Right. Sport betting. Just for fun. I've never done that before.
You don't like the result, you throw it back.
Right. You forget about it. It's like me stumbling upon the combination of ranch and salsa. To this day, nobody's told me since I brought it up that they've done it before. I'm calling it ransa. It's incredible. It's like discovering plutonium by accident. Ranch and the only reason I found out is I mixed it on my plate. I'm like, this is amazing. How has nobody ever come up with this? Ransa. Watch for it at a grocery store near you soon. The reason I'm getting to all of this, if I'm getting to anything, Darren Workman in Salt Lake City writes in, and he says, big news in Utah. Jazz ownership has made direct inquiries into NHL expansion into Salt Lake City and have offered an immediate venue, etc. There are those that say, if this is to be believed or not, we're in the conspiracy theory age, that the NHL was sitting on this story and they just dropped it today. Whenever it came out, that those 5 junior players from the Team Canada were going to, when the crap was going to hit the fan, we'll drop this expansion story to distract everybody. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it's going to work for us here right now. And I saw the headline before Darren in Salt Lake City wrote this in. That what are SEG, something entertainment group, has commissioned the NHL to look into Salt Lake City. That doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of people that would like the NHL to do a lot of stuff. Doesn't mean they're going to do it. Ownership group wants their city to be considered, and their ownership group, for every ownership group does. Every city that doesn't have a team wants to be considered. Doesn't mean the NHL will. Did you see the headline this morning?
I saw the headline. They requested the information from the NHL. Tell us what it will take. Tell us what the process is for an expansion team. Well, I know a time or two I've inquired about a gym membership. It doesn't mean I'm going to buy one or go.
Yes.
And it's, I know. So we'll see. Utah is one of those teams. Yeah. They've, Salt Lake City has hosted an Olympic Games. They've got the NBA. Maybe the NHL would be a logical next step, sure. And it'd be one of those cities to inquire about. But we're so far away from them being considered. the front runner for the next expansion or anything else. But it is something to distract everybody.
Oh, in that case, it worked. But the thing is, I don't know very much about Salt Lake City. I've been to the airport. That's it. It ain't exactly a hot tourist destination. What do I know about Salt Lake City? I think it's #1 for porn downloading in America. #1. The most porn downloaded is in Utah. I believe that's the case. I've heard that it's very boring. Not a lot to do there. So, yeah, you, Darren, in Salt Lake, you tell me if I'm wrong on that. But Atlanta's the city that I'm hot to trot on because we air in Atlanta on the radio every day, WQEE. Right, Ryan, on radio? We're set up to, we're Atlanta's NHL show. We're not Salt Lake City's NHL show. So they have a venue. Who cares? Atlanta's got multiple venues to play. I've had a lot of friends that have played there and do not ever bring up that they've had 2 franchises that had to move because that doesn't matter. So has Ottawa in the Canadian Football League, and the third time was the charm. I keep bringing it up all the time, and I will keep bringing it up as long as people bring up that inane argument that the Flames and Thrashers had to move. So I want to see Atlanta first. It's 6 million people. It's the hub of the South. Not Salt Lake City. Give me a break. Where are you on that? Where would you like to see the 33rd team go?
Houston jumps out to me. We were down there. Houston would be a good fit. Atlanta would be fine. Kansas City would be good. There's a lot of options. Utah didn't jump out to me as the next destination. Maybe it'd be one down the line, but I think there'd probably be better fits if you're just looking at it from, where would you like to go?
See, we talk about this all the time. Jeff in Yorkton writes in, he says, Rod, it's all about the money. If Utah wants to pay the insane franchise price, then Gary will go there. It's always about the money. My money people tell me, always just examine who's got the most to gain, and ding, 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 you'll find your winner.
It's about the money?
Sorry.
But you can't. But you can't just stroke a check. Otherwise, Jim Balsley would have had a team in Hamilton. If it was only about the expansion check, the money conversation is about that expansion fee, but also TV, merchandise, the economy, longevity. It is money, but it's not just one check.
I kind of wonder that movie Blackberry, which you and I went to together, did we not?
We
did. And I at Landmark Cinemas, Blackberry. It was about the Blackberry. That was the whole idea of the movie. But there was a great scene in there. Jim Balsillie, who was, if not the founder of the Blackberry, well, he basically was, just like a raving lunatic in the NHL Board of Governors meetings in New York, like throwing chairs over because they weren't going to give him his team. They weren't going to let him buy the Pittsburgh Penguins and move them to Hamilton, right? Wasn't that what the story was? It's like 20 years ago. That's right. Right?
They would have let him, but he started bragging.
Yeah, you and I were leaving the theater going, is that accurate? Because, you look at winning time, the Lakers, they say the guy that played Jerry West and how they made him look like a raving lunatic. The family's very upset with the way they made Jerry West look. So I wonder if the Balsillie family's upset that they made Jim look like a complete lunatic in the show Blackberry. I kind of have the sense that they didn't. It was nailed. And that's why he didn't get a team. Wayne in BC says, how many teams is enough? I'd like to see less teams, not more. From the Random Canuck, which, oh my God, do I have a story for you. The Random Canuck writes in, it's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. He didn't say that. I am saying that. It's 1:11 Eastern, so imagine, manifest the perfect outcome to your current situation. I did. It works. The Random Canuck says, #1, Houston, #2, Atlanta, #3, Salt Lake City, #4, Kansas City, #5, Milwaukee. So there's a sports betting show that airs in the same studio as Serena and my Cats and Bolts podcast that we do on the Panthers and the Lightning. And last week, they asked if I could come on and talk about the National Hockey League on their betting show. And I couldn't because it was airing the same time as this one. So Serena went down there. And it's called Online Sports Bet. Darren, try and keep a straight face. Keeping in mind that these are nice guys. They're like, well, let's talk about the number one team in the National Hockey League arena, the Vancouver Canucks. What do you have to say about the Canucks? I was like, what? She came home and told me that. And she goes, it's not the first time I've heard that. Because remember that she lived in California for 10 years. But tell us about the Vancouver Canucks. True story.
That's pretty good. I wonder what team would get mispronounced the most. Vancouver never came to mind as being, mispronounced. But away we are.
Let's talk about the Arizona Demon Box.
Oh, no.
The Canucks. The Canucks. From the random Canuck writes in and says, my God. I know. You have no idea. Oh, boy. And she's... Did I tell you this? She's going to rip some heads off this afternoon when we record our show because a new podcast has popped up here in South Florida called the Cats and Rats Podcast. Did I tell you? It's spelled exactly like ours. Cats and Rats. I've told a few business friends of mine and sports friends here, and they're like, I'm not as mad. I'm a little mad, but I'm not as mad. I was talking to our guy Jeff this morning from Estevan, because I talk to a lot of people, Moose, our hotelier from the, I said, how would you feel if a hotel popped up right across from your hotel, right across the street, and they called themselves the Days Inn, spelled D-A-Y-Z-N, D-A-Y-Z-N. I said, you'd be furious. He's like, of course I would be. I said, well, that's kind of how I feel. So, anyways, yeah, that happened. Darren in Utah writes in and says, wow, I think I'd better move. Salt Lake is only the second largest airline hub in the U.S. and makes billions in tourist revenue. That Olympic thing in 2002 must have been a fluke. Atlanta? Okay. Oh, yeah, like we didn't have the Olympics in Atlanta. 96. Any thoughts? As we roll. Nothing about the porn downloading? You got nothing to say about the porn downloading?
Isn't that an attraction? That's on the pros list, not the cons list.
Yeah, who said it was a problem?
Yeah, exactly.
I said to my friend Vaughn, the guy that we connected with, the guy that I connected with, my best friend when we were kids, got back together here this summer. I said, you look a lot like the kid from 2.5 Men in the early years, the early episodes. He's like, that kid was cool. I said, I didn't say he wasn't. Why do you take everything as an insult? Anyways, Jeff, the Stamps fan, says Salt Lake City makes more sense than Atlanta. I don't agree, but I guess we'll find out. That's why they have votes for these things. Or as they say, who writes the biggest check? Again, it all comes down to money, which there are people writing in here regarding Wexit, the 5 Alberta junior teams going to BC. And it's starting to be reported, enough that I think it's true, $1.2 million in expansion fees for a flippin' Junior A league. $1.2 million expansion fees for those Alberta teams. That's $6 million the BC League's going to pocket for Junior A hockey. You going to tell me it's not about the money? Which I'm kind of... Somebody, again, a media person in Calgary told me just the other day, they said, you have really found your niche with that talk show because you can do whatever you want. Nobody can tell you what to do. You're living where you want to live. It's all coming up aces. That's the thing. I don't want to be the insider guy. You see it's come out what Corey Perry did in Chicago, why he had his contract terminated. I don't even want to talk about it here, but it has been reported today. And I'm like, I was fired from my last job for this kind of stuff. No. It's been reported. Stuff that goes on millions of times a day around the world. He was fired for it. And clearly the Edmonton Oilers didn't feel like it was that big of a deal because they signed him. Mark Stephen on the way. We'll be right back. It's hour 2 of your favorite daytime sports talk show coming at you live on Game Plus Television, WQEE, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss. But it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Yeah, here we are. Please do not adjust your sets. The host is wearing a crown and a robe. By the way, everybody, I want to tell you the Kinsman Telemiracle 50/50 is live now. It's a wonderful way to support Telemiracle, but also a chance for you to win half the pot. You can buy your tickets now. It's a truly win-win for Saskatchewan residents. You just got to be in Saskatchewan and over the age of 18. Buy your tickets now at telemiracle5050.com. We're about 1 month away from the draw. Okay, let's bring the Moose in. Moose, I figured, why not wear the crown? What the heck? If you don't remember the Maurice Richard TV commercials that we talked about last hour for Creation Formula, 2 minutes for looking so good, you definitely won't remember on what nights did Johnny Carson wear the Swami crown. Can somebody please, that's older than both Darren and I, write in and tell me how often Johnny Carson wore his get-up. I don't even remember his name. I want to say Swami, but that's not it. Wasn't Chris Berman the Swami?
Yeah,
remember Chris Berman
was Swami.
He was a Swami? Okay. I don't even know what Johnny Carson was when he dressed up. But whatever, if it was once a week, I'll do it. If it was twice a week, I'll do it. But it's fun. It's fun. And to that end, we're going to play NHL Top 5, Bottom 5. Are you ready? We do it every week for Bet Regal, our official betting partner. Top 5 teams in the National Hockey League, followed by the bottom 5. The number 1 team is the Boston Bruins, everybody. They are on a heater right now. They have the NHL best win streak of 728. And ask Winnipeg who's the best team in the NHL. It's the Boston Bruins. Number 2 is the Winnipeg Jets. And we're going to find out maybe what they're made of tonight in Toronto, but they are missing 2 players, including Mark Scheifele tonight. Number 2, Winnipeg. Number 3, the Vancouver Canucks. They got to be in there somewhere, having their best season in decades. Number 4, the Colorado Avalanche have won 7 of their last 10. They are the hottest team in the past 10 of anybody below our top 3. And the number 5 team, the Edmonton Oilers. I'm telling you right now, if they were playing a series, they might beat Vancouver and Winnipeg. They've won 14 in a row, we all know. Number 1, Boston, 2, Winnipeg, 3, Vancouver, 4, Colorado, 5, Edmonton. Your bottom 5 teams in the National Hockey League are these. 28th is the Montreal Canadiens, the losers of 3 in a row. They're actually 26th overall, but they're sliding. 29th, the Columbus Blue Jackets, nothing more than a speed bump for the Oilers last night. Anaheim is the 30th team, proving that Ducks can't fly. 31st team is the Chicago Blackhawks, second worst team. They're nothing without Connor Bedard, that's evident. And the very last team in the NHL is the San Jose Sharks. It ain't close. There's no reason for this to be challenged the rest of the way. And their goal differential looks like it's going to be an NHL record. They're at -90. Don't adjust your sets. -90, the San Jose Sharks. What a season they're having. That's our top 5, bottom 5 for Bet Regal. Agree or disagree?
I'm with you. It's going to be a debate where you put the Oilers because they were so far behind everybody that, they're on the heater, and I think they're maybe in the top 10 teams points-wise. They're definitely one of the top 5 best teams today in the NHL, so I like that. Don't look now, though. Seattle. San Jose's won 3 in a row. I just looked at that. I'm like, where did that come from? But that's just
doesn't matter.
They're still the worst team in the league. Yeah, exactly. So I'm pretty good with your top 5, bottom 5.
Okay, thank you. So I'm checking in with the audience, 902-518-3033. Jerry Buss, this is hilarious. David in Winnipeg writes in and says, Jerry Buss. I'm like, no. Look it up. From Winning Time. Watch the series. Have you watched it on the rise of the Lakers? And they never, ever really did fall, and the Buss family still owns them. No, it wasn't Jerry Buss that they had a problem with. As much of a lecherous, carousing womanizer that Jerry Buss is portrayed as in the show, his family never had any problem with that. Played by John C. Reilly. It was Jerry West, right? I believe Jerry West, the guy that is on the NBA logo that was portrayed as a tyrant. I think it was Jerry West. But it wasn't Jerry Buss. It was Jerry West that the family had a problem with. Just to clarify that. I remember it's been a couple years since we watched that since it came out, but dag nabbit, is that ever a great show? What else do we have here? Oh, thank you, Nelson. I don't know how he knows this, our VP of Sim Events, but he says, Karnak the Magnificent, the mystic from the East. No specific dates, just a reoccurring character. How do you know that, Nelson? You're far younger than me. And I think younger than Darren. He must have Googled.
What are we talking about?
Karnak. That's who Johnny Carson was. Oh, with his outfit. Karnak the Magnificent. No specific days. Okay. Here's why. I just think, why the hell wouldn't we have fun with this? You got 8 million shows out there. Studies will show 2 million podcasts alone, with everybody looking the same and talking about the same stuff. Why wouldn't we put a crown on once or twice a week and have some fun with it, for God's sakes? I often think about, because people send us these photos from the bars where our show is on all across Canada. And I'm thinking people I want to see their reaction when the guy's wearing a crown. I know what I would think. What the hell is this? Now, speaking of all of that, oh, Nelson says he's a big late night fan. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's why he knows. Colin in Ottawa says they toned down Magic Johnson's womanizing in season 2. I wonder if he threatened HBO after seeing how he was portrayed in the first season. Well, I don't need to watch the documentary because I lived it as a fan, and I remember the life of Magic Johnson. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I will never forget, they were renovating the old Seattle Key Arena. I think I told you the story on the air when we went through there with the PA Raiders in '93. I was the 20-year-old voice of the PA Raiders. And that was around the time the news came out about Magic Johnson. And if you don't know the news that I'm talking about, look it up. And because they were renovating Key Arena, the team was playing in the somewhat nearby Tacoma Dome. And I rode a shuttle down there, 22,000-seat Tacoma Dome. It's really cool on the SeaTac Strip. And it was something. I watched the Timberwolves play there, and I believe Golden State Warriors against the Lakers. By the way, Darren, speaking of me sitting on a park bench, just babbling to the person beside me, whatever my stories are, I have friends on a cruise right now. You know them, I think, Pete and Shauna Engelhart of Regina. They were in Cozumel, Mexico, and they were taking photos by the sign of it yesterday. You know what the first thing was popped in my mind? I never told you this. I've never told anybody this story. I almost killed a man in Cozumel, Mexico.
What?
How about that?
It's a little island, which is a ferry ride off coastal Mexico. No, true story. And you'll know the people involved. Carmelo Carteri was with us, my longtime color commentator, and our sales manager, Ron Ulmer. We spent the afternoon floating around in the pool. We went to Hooters for a while, then we went and floated around in a pool, drinking all day. We go to get back on the ferry to go back to Cancun. Or was it Playa del Carmen? That was a long time ago, and I was drinking. But they were painting a park bench, and there was a sign on it. So as we're walking down the street, I'm talking at Carm, but not really paying attention. Ulmer runs up a side and takes the sign off because it said wet paint. And he goes, Roddy, why don't you sit down on the bench? Take a load off. I'm like, that's a good idea, Ron. So I go to sit down. I put my hand down first. Wet paint. So I came running after him with my hand of wet paint, right? And he trips on the curb and falls into the street. And a car comes along and whack, just missed his head. Oh. And I don't know if you've ever had that moment where in a split second you have a lot of things run through your mind. My life didn't flash before my eyes. His life did. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, he's going to smash his head like a pumpkin because I saw the car coming. And he just missed. And then a guy came with his bike and went thump, thump, right over his head. Broke his glasses. I'll never forget. Oh, God. Yeah. And we had a guy with us by the name of Ken Ashton. So Ronnie's laying there in the street. Carm grabs him by the head. He goes, how many fingers am I holding up? Ken, sitting 10 feet away, goes, 3. We're like, not you, him. The guy that just got run over in the street of Cozumel, Mexico. So anyways, he lived to tell the story. And we go, and then that night we all went out for supper. And our station manager, who you would know. I think you did a deal with them that they went back on, so you would know exactly who I'm talking about. Says to me, heard you tried to kill our sales manager today. Well, yeah, but it was an accident.
And it was
like
his
all
fault.
Of them. I didn't. Yeah, he started it. Like we're a bunch of 10-year-old kids. So anyways, that happened.
That's pretty good, though.
John,
hey, take the sign down. Why don't you have a seat? Take a Loda.
He deserved it. Is that what you're getting at? He deserved it.
Wow.
So anyways, all these
pretty
things
good
are
joke at the
randomly
same time.
up. Yeah.
If you would have sat down, you would have got up and never known there was wet paint on there.
Yeah, exactly. Almost killed a man in Cozumel, Mexico. Colin in Ottawa says, you knew about Magic Johnson's sexual escapades in the rural Saskatchewan of the 1980s? Colin, you met him, right, Darren? You met him in Ottawa? You guys are about the same age?
I met him. Yeah.
Right over your head, Colin. You're not getting it, and I don't have time to explain it. Before I let you go, Dub tonight, Tri-City at Wenatchee, Everett at Kelowna. The top prospects game is being played tonight. Where's it being played? I saw the rink. Good
question.
But I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm full of good questions. I don't have a lot of answers. Somebody will let me know. But the top prospects game is being played. Oh, yeah. Well, Brent's watching in Wellington, Florida. He says, blame it on the tequila. Oh, was that Moncton? How about that? Okay, well, that was a different rink, angle of the rink than I saw. I snuck into the rink in Moncton one time. I told you that story, right? I bought a couple of subs and told them that I was delivering them for the owner, and they let me in. I wasn't doing anything nefarious. I was just wanted to go see the rink, and I knew that was the only way they were going to let me in is if I concocted a story. So I bought a couple of subs from Subway. If you know me well enough, this will not surprise you. This was Uber Eats before there was Uber Eats. It was not that long ago, 2019, Touchdown Atlantic. That's why I was there. It was the middle of the summer. I'm like, I want to get inside and see that rink. How could I do it? I got it. I'll go to the security desk with a couple of subs and tell them I'm delivering them. No problem. Have a great day, Moose. Say hi to your parents for me.
You bet. Thank you.
Mark Stephen joins us next. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match. But for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody. Canada's top men's curling teams are into the thick of their season. The provincial playdowns are coming up, and their eyes are firmly focused on the Brand Center in Regina for the Montana's Brier presented by AGI. It's March 1st to the 8th. We want to send you. You can get your tickets now at curling.ca/tickets, ranging in price from $24 to $70, depending on the draw and where you sit. But all kids' tickets are $9.99. curling.ca/tickets. I hope you enjoy the weekly curling interviews we're doing with the big names because it's been a lot of fun. Scotty's is in Calgary, by the way, and we're going there now at the beautiful Winsport Arena, but we're going to talk football first with our good friend Mark Stephen. I had to think about it, Mark, because there's a lot of things to get to with you, but it was a good news, bad news day for the Stampeders yesterday. Would you mind recapping it and filling our audience in?
Yeah, first, thank you. Good afternoon. It was, a pretty crazy day in Calgary. We got the news of something that had been speculated for a while, that John Hufnagel would be stepping aside into more of an advisory role. So he leaves the day-to-day, comings and goings of the Stampeders. Jay McNeil, who'd been brought on just under, I guess, about a year and a half ago in a business role, now takes over as the team president. So he's in charge of everything. It's quite a story. He's a player. Played 14 seasons and went into a business career and then returned to the Stampeders. So he takes over as the boss of the Calgary Stampeders. While all this was going on, we were starting to receive word that one of the highest profile and most popular Stampeders in recent times, Bruce Covington, had passed away at the age of 57. And it was unexpected and caught a lot of people off guard. And there was a lot of emotion. In fact, they even did a video acknowledgement last night at the Flames game. So, this caught a lot of people off guard. So it was a day where a lot of good news came out that the Stamps were under a new direction in the sense that Jay McNeil has the top role, but very unfortunate on the Bruce Covington's passing.
Yeah, just terrible. And my condolences to you, Mark, and the Stampeders fans and all the rest with Tuna. Did his career, has yours completely spanned his? Because the years were somewhat close. Am I right?
There was an overlap. I was a reporter, not the broadcaster of the team, but I knew him from the day he got here. I mean, he was the first pick in 1992, and he came to the Stampeders. So I was with them from the day he talked to him regularly, from the day he arrived until I saw him most recently at a luncheon in October. So that would have been the last time I talked to him. So I've known him all the time and always had a chance to say hello to him, and he was a regular at the Stampeder practices and different events around the city as well. So yeah, he was one of those larger-than-life figures.
Yeah, I got to meet him too. Just a wonderful guy. He would converse on Facebook too when I wasn't in Calgary. Number 1 overall pick, multiple Grey Cups won, hell of a resume, and he left a big void. There's no doubt that will not be filled.
Yeah.
As far as the Huffnagel-McNeil news, will Stamps fans see any change to the naked eye with Huff out of this role and Jay in it?
Not really. I don't think so. I mean, one of John Huffnagel's many legacies is the fact that he's made some very, very significant transitions with seemingly no hiccups. I mean, he left the coaching ranks. He, became GM only, and then he left the GM spot only and gave it to Dave Dickinson, or Dave earned it. And then also this move as well. There haven't been the massive upheavals that some other organizations go through. It's been a model of stability. So that's one of the many things he could take credit for, is the fact that, he kind of saw around the corner and had plans in place for all the inevitable transitions that would have to take place.
I got to ask you this, and I know you'll give me the honest goods. When things were tough for the Stamps in the summer and the fall, and you were there, you were calling the games, all those Stamps alumni were saying to me, they'll figure it out. They always figure it out. They'll figure it out. And dagnabbit, they did. I'm sure you would have liked to have hosted a playoff game, but you surpassed Sask in the standings to make the playoffs. Mark, one of these years it's going to catch you, don't you? I think that's a dangerous game to play.
Well, I think it is to an extent that, here's what's happened the last couple of years. They've certainly been stocking Toronto and Hamilton with a lot of players. So, they're going to have to maybe do something a little different to maintain players. They've started to do that. They've signed some guys to multi-year deals, the guys that are their core. But I'll be blunt, there's going to be some guys that move on. They were 6-12 last year. So that was an indication that things weren't all as they envisioned. So, they will figure it out. I think they will. But they're going to have to make some modifications to an extent on some of their free agent strategies, and I think you've seen that already.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Hamilton in there in week 1, right?
Yeah, that was a colossal oversight by the CFL last year, not having Hamilton come to Calgary, so they're going to rectify that at the first possible opportunity. And obviously it was good news, not only for Bo Levi Mitchell, but for people here, that he patched over his differences with the Cats. And I mean, it's almost certain that he'll be here for opening day.
I do feel like, and I think you would agree, the football gods do eventually work things out properly in the end. Like maybe if Hamilton was scheduled to come last year, maybe Bo wouldn't have been able to play because of his injury. Now he will.
I agree totally. Right? Yeah, I agree. It was a tough year for him on a number of fronts, but health was one of them. He really didn't play all that much last year. So you're right. I mean, you can't guarantee anything, and he was hurt for the bulk of last year, and I have no idea when he would have slotted in to come to Calgary, but he might not have been on the trip. That's certainly a possibility.
Watching the Flames from afar, I feel like this decision will be made for them, that they need to scrap everything and go into a rebuild, because it's very evident to me they're not going anywhere. Will they reach that conclusion, or what do you think?
Well, I was there last night, and if they didn't reach that conclusion, they better in a hurry. This is just as good as this team is going to get, okay? They're a team that's kind of hanging around the playoff chase. There's sort of a maybe we can make it with a couple of breaks kind of thing, but this is as far as it's going to go. And yes, they're going to have to decide on a brand new direction. It's just not working. This is, as I say, this is as good as it's going to get. Look, they got 2 more games in what was sort of a vital homestand. They've got Columbus and Chicago. They should be favored against those teams. No guarantees, but let's just say they win based on the standings. That only makes this homestand, a 6-game homestand, 500. Again, that's not good enough. And they can't say, well, maybe these guys will beat Nashville tonight. That's where they are. And it's just as far as they're going to go. It's not good enough as currently constructed.
Just while I have you, the Scotties is in Winsport Arena, and I know you like to follow business as much as sports to a degree, and that facility has turned out to be better than I think they thought. Man, the tickets are almost gone. They don't even know who the field is. Well, I guess we do now. just over the last week.
I know what you're saying.
But, yeah. Why is Calgary such a tremendous curling city in your mind? You've been there throughout.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're right about the Winsport facility. We lack sort of a medium-sized facility, a good one here. There's the Saddle Dome, but there's only certain events that make sense to be played in there. But as far as a sort of a next-tier facility, it fits in the middle. There's some smaller facilities. The Corral, which was the original home of the Flames, is gone. So that's one reason why it works. They've marketed it well. It's not only the home of curling. Remember, in the pandemic year, they held every single curling championship that mattered there. So that was really exciting. Number 3 is the Surge basketball team of the CEBL plays out of there and did quite well. And there's a number of, just tournaments, minor hockey tournaments and things that are played out of there. It's very busy. I mean, people outside the city, of course, see it during the high-profile events, but it's always busy there with numerous tournaments and events going on. So it's a combination of things. And yeah, Calgary does have a reputation. One time when the Brier was held here, they had the record. It was since eclipsed, but no, it's had a good reputation, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be very exciting indeed.
If you could answer a quick one, Colin watching in Ottawa wants to know your take on Ottawa and their new starting quarterback, Drew Brown. What's that going to mean to the franchise?
Well, I hope it works out for them. I mean, there's been instability there on so many fronts, and those fans there have been kicked around so much ever since they played in the 18 Grey Cup. Is he the guy? He certainly showed flashes, but I'm going to caution you about this. It's a different world when you're the number one guy and people are focusing in on you. I'm not saying he can't do it, but remember, they went down this exact road with Nick Arbuckle. There were a few issues that didn't work out. It's not all Nick's doing, but it's a different world when you're the number one guy. Having said that, I do understand why they went out and did it. It's a bold, assertive move to get ahead of free agency and sign him to a deal. I'm not going to say he's going to guarantee success because they've got some other issues there bigger than quarterbacking. Hope Mazzola gets back, and the two of them give Ottawa some hope, because I think if I added it up right, since they played in the Grey Cup in 18, they're 14-54. That's just not good enough. So there are quarterbacking issues, but there's many other issues there as well.
That's really bad. Mark, appreciate it. Always appreciate it, man. Thank you. Chat with you soon.
Okay, take care. Thanks for the call.
The Stampeders' voice and longtime outstanding Calgary broadcaster, Mark Stephen. Overtime's coming up next. We are live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay. Overtime is for our Calgary friends. Overtime Hockey Lanes in Cowtown, 28th Street Northeast. Most fun you can have with your skates on. Where skill and fun collide. Head on down, look up Randy and Michelle and tell them Rod sent you. Where do we start? Colin in Ottawa, are you still there? He had I hope you've all had as much fun today as I have. But he had a bit of a cheeky comment earlier when I said that we all knew what Magic Johnson was up to back in the day. We don't need to watch a Netflix documentary or Amazon Prime documentary to know. And I looked it up. November 7th, 1991 was the announcement that Magic Johnson tested positive for HIV. That's what I'm talking about. But you probably, you might have been born. Clark was born that year, so he wouldn't know. How did you very cheekily said, how would you know in rural Saskatchewan what Magic was? Well, we had a thing, it was called a newspaper. It's wild, that? Right? Yeah, crazy. And we would read these things called the newspaper. We would go down and we would buy them at the local store. It was like 50 cents, maybe a quarter. And that had, the news was in, the news was in it. So that's what we did. I know, it's crazy. Nelson, who's been hanging with us all day. Hey, Nelson, since you got all the answers, can you tell me, and you do, I don't say that facetiously. What is swag surfing? Clark doesn't know. Don't bother Clark. I asked him. He didn't know. I don't know. What's swag surfing? Nelson, you must know. It's a dance. Well, thank you. Thank you. Clark has told me it's a dance. I know, but what specific? Where did it come from and why? I saw Taylor Swift doing it. And the only reason I ask you, Nelson, is because you've had all the other answers today. And again, I forgot. Karnak. Karnak was the name of the character Johnny Carson was when he wore a crown on the Johnny Carson show. I'll try. Karnak. Regarding NHL expansion to Salt Lake City, the potential ownership group in Salt Lake City has come out and said they have asked the NHL to look into expanding and having a 33rd team in Utah. So Nelson writes in and says the National Hockey League released a statement regarding Salt Lake expansion. They are impressed with the conversations they have had with the ownership group over the past 2 years and look forward to continuing to talk. He says they didn't say yes and they didn't say no. Sounds a hell of a lot like Randy and Rosie, don't it? We're talking about talking. We know where that went. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I remember it was all over the news. Oh, yeah. Was it ever? There are those that say the NHL threw out this Salt Lake City news today as a red herring, a decoy, a bait and switch for the day that the Hockey Canada news came out that 5 members of the 2018 World Juniors team has been summoned to London, Ontario to face charges for sexual assault. I don't know whether they did or not. Who knows? I think they're matching up the timing. I prefer to give people the benefit of the doubt. Sports update on this Wednesday. The Winnipeg Jets fly into Toronto for an all-Canadian matchup with the Leafs tonight. Jets have won 8 of their last 10. Lead the NHL Central Division with 64 points, 1 up on Colorado. The Leafs are 4th in the Atlantic with 54 points, holding a wild card spot. Also tonight, the league-leading Vancouver Canucks play host to the St. Louis Blues. Canucks have won 3 in a row. Blues coming off a 4-3 win in Calgary last night. Sports updates brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In theaters now, The Beekeeper. One man's brutal campaign for vengeance takes on national stakes after he is revealed to be a former operative of a powerful and clandestine organization known as the Beekeepers, starring Jason Statham, Josh Hutcherson, and Minnie Driver. And also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, we also had TVs back then too, Roddy. Yeah, exactly right. Chad in Lethbridge says, I hope the Flames show up tomorrow, Roddy. The return of Johnny Hockey 2.0. Should be some boo birds. Colin in Ottawa says, I'm talking about what preceded and caused Magic getting HIV. He was diagnosed with it, so I kind of just deduced what was going on. Glenn in Medicine Hat says, late to the dance here today, so maybe you touched on this, but a couple of players from Canada's 2018 World Junior team have very recently left their NHL teams for personal reasons. Could be a coincidence. Did you ever show up late? That was the first thing we talked about today in the big story, and I guess the last thing that we're talking about today. Tomorrow, hopefully the news is better. See you then.
Who has more fun than us?